Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another video. How you doing? How are we doing today? I hope you are all well. Good to see you all here. Well, it is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday. And yes, usually I'm going live a little bit later than usually I'm going live a little bit later than today. But at the same time, I do have some things to do later, and honestly, I had no idea. Like, I did not have enough stuff for 2 videos today, enough things to talk about for 2 videos today. I feel a little bit burnt out. So I figured, we'll get a video in midday, lunchtime for you in the States, dinner time over here. And there are a few things to discuss right now. Obviously, there's some news that's kind of out there, little things that I want to talk about. And then I also want to clear up with some information, some points on the manager process situation as well. And then I want to talk as well about just mixing some information and some opinion in terms of the whole thing, okay? The whole thing and some view and kind of who's going to say what and who's going to do what. So I do have a few things to get through. We're going to get to the manager stuff as well, because I want to talk about that some stuff about Glasner and some opinions and some other things and all of that as well, just because I see certain takes out there, and I'd like to discuss it as well. Either way, but yeah, this is the stuff I want to talk about at this point in time. Is these pieces of news, some money stuff, some other things, all of that. So that's what we're gonna get into in today's video. Let me just make sure I've got that I want. Okay, we are good. But yes, is everybody good? When is the Amorim contract extension bomba? That's coming at the end of the stream. The contract extension, the affirmation of commitment to Ruben Amorim to shut down the noise is coming. That's a joke. Anyway, let's go forward. Let's keep talking about this. Let's go. Yeah, so many guys are throwing their names in the hat, and there's also really good reasons to just not talk about certain people and even consider or think about it. You've liked the video, but do you think we should keep Amorim in for the season? Fair enough, Glenn. Fair enough. Some of us work. I know. I work too. I just figure out when I can do these types of things. You know what I mean? That's what I have to figure out. So yeah, couple of things. Let's get right into the news then and work through everything that we want to talk about here. Obviously, Amad Diallo, thankfully, has returned to training. I think Amad is, for me, one of the most important players that we have if we are to be successful or if we are to have any chance to turn things around. And listen, I'm just going to preface this by saying, because it does get rather irritating, in talking through all of this stuff, at the moment, Ruben Amorim is here, is the manager, and regardless of who is in place, I want things to improve. I want things to get better. I want us to win. I want us to do better. We'll get to some hopium later on for sure. I've got some to share. I'm always going to share that as positivity. You know the meaning. You know the meaning. You know what we're doing in this on this channel. But so given the present, I'm always going to talk within that context. I don't want to get into debating prior to later on in the video, like saying, hey, Ahmad, he's important. Yeah, for this stupid mention. All right, I get it. I get people's opinions. This is where we're at. I think that Ahmad is really, really important.
Feel bad when I can't join, so have $2.
Thanks, Stevie Cooper. You don't have to feel bad, but thank you for the message. Oh, and before I forget, before I forget, I will have a members video coming right after this. It probably takes me about 15 minutes to actually record and put it together. So I will have a members video for you guys a little bit later today. 15 minutes from the end of this video, 20 minutes from the end of this video, for those of you who are members of the channel as well, okay, with just a bit more details and some things that I like to share, again, a little bit behind the scenes and all of that too. So I want to make sure to remember that one. Another little thing, guys, we've got Bald Rooney. We've got the Bald Rooney doll. We've got the Bald Rooney doll. It is for sale. It is for sale on the website. We've got the Bald Rooney doll. The easiest one to make, but I found it really, really funny. So yeah, the dolls are on the website if somebody wants that, but I might do a giveaway with it or something for fun. We'll see. Some kind of game. So the Bald Rooney doll, it cracks me up because it's so funny, like, because it's so silly. Like, we got the number on it, okay? So you got the 10 and you've got the Bald Rooney, all right? But anyway, oh, it's funny. Let's keep going. Ahmad is returned to training, obviously. Ahmad has returned to training. I think that he is one of the most important players that could be in the team in terms of turning things around. Again, when I look at the way that I see the game, the way that I see Ruben Amorim, the way that I see the system, the way that I see all of that stuff, the reality is that, as I've kind of shared in what I see, if you're putting a defender in that wingback position, then you might as well just throw in the towel. It's not the way that we want to play football. It's not going to get us anywhere. It's not going to provide any sort of progress to becoming a more attacking, more productive side or anything like that. It's not going to help us really at all to get anywhere. So I think Ahmad returning is really important. I think it's something that hopefully has benefits. I still feel as though some of our best performances pretty much always come when he plays at wingback, whether we find him at times or not. I always think that that is important. And I think he makes a really, really big difference to the team when he plays out there. That extra attacking threat, just being there. You know what I mean? The extra attacking threat. It's another forward instead of being narrowed down into the 3 forwards and no extra attackers in there. And yeah, so I hope he's well. Hope everything is okay. And obviously for me, he's like a starter sack type of player. Like, put him in the damn team or find yourself another place to manage a football club, because you really, really, really need them. And you really, really need him. Now, it is interesting that at the same time, Tyrell Malacia has returned to training as well. The only surviving member of the bomb squad has actually returned to the team and to first team training and to a part of the group. Now, to be fair here to Tyrell Malacia, I don't totally know why he was a part of the bomb squad. I don't think we've ever gotten a great explanation for it. There was speculation like he was in the bomb squad because he's friends with Rashford. That was obviously never true. I don't know where that came from. That definitely wasn't the case. Let's put it that way. We know that Malacia unfortunately has some issues with his knees and energy and and ability and all of that following some of the surgeries and things that have gone on. But is he likely to play an important role? No, but he has no knees left, or a knee, I guess, left. So it's like, obviously some moves have fallen through because of that. I don't know why that's the case, but I don't know why he was separated, I guess, in that respect. He did even play briefly under Ruben Amorim prior to going on loan. Anthony did as well, but obviously, Anthony was making shitty comments and things like that. There's reasons why all the other guys, I get it. I don't know why Ahmad, my Malacia was in that group entirely. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens there. Whether he makes it in the squad. Obviously, Diego
If
Leon
Bruno
continues to
needs
train
to push
with the
forward,
first team
I
as well.
hope we see Mumo in right wing back. He might be able to do a job there. Would not want to see Shaw starting.
Yeah, agreed on that, Sub. And like,
The Brentford
I mean,
game made me realise that when if can happens and we lose our entire right side, Ahmad, Mumo,
yeah, that's a
Mazraoui,
scary
we will
thought,
be
isn't
truly
it,
cooked.
Tabiso? Now, what I would probably do in that case is, but yes, I mean, if Bruno needs to push forward, hope we see Mbumo in right back. I would rather push Bruno forward. Like I'm not saying I want to drop Šeško, don't get me wrong, but I would like to see a game of trying Bruno, Cunha, Mbumo, Ahmad out wide. If Bruno has to play, to just mix the team up a little bit and get some different ideas going. But there are other options. And as to what you're saying there, Tabiso, like play Mason Mount at right wing back. I said that in the last video. Play Mason. It's like 1 or 2 games. Play Mason Mount at right wing back. You'll play him at left wing back. He's played literally as a winger in his career on multiple occasions. He's intelligent. He's hardworking. If he's fit, put Mason Mount at wing back, and then you can still run, Cunha, Bruno, Šeško, Xerxes as forwards in the team. And it's only for a couple of games. I don't care what you do in that case, is something like that. If Amorim is still here in January, just put Mason Mount or something out there. Like there's almost anything else we can do but that. It just doesn't even matter to me. Just someone who thinks like a forward, like an attacker, or take someone from the youth ranks, Kamason or Mantato, and stick them out there. It doesn't really matter to me. Just put somebody who is attacking out there. Yeah, he doesn't have zero pace. You know who else has zero pace? Mazraoui. Mazraoui has no attacking pace forward as well. There was an interesting thing from I did watch Stephen Housen talk about a couple things he would adjust.
So the system isn't changing?
The formation certainly isn't changing really under Amorim, but it can change in certain ways in terms of how it's deployed based on personnel. And I was talking to I would take Mount over Dallo any day of the week in any position on the pitch, including center back. Okay. But I did watch a little thing from Stephen Housen in terms of suggesting, like, if you had to deploy Mazraoui out wide, then move Mazraoui into the middle out of possession to partner Ugarte so that you can push the other players up. That's fine. That's like also fine. When we were discussing the other day, the tactical premise of having your 3 and your 2 form a very compact center, just move players to do it. Yeah, we've got players in the academy, Kamasa, Mantato, Shea Lacey. Did want to mention that too. Obviously, there's talk that Jack Fletcher, I believe, and what Shea Lacey are probably the closest to being first teamers or making some kind of breakthrough over the course of the season. And those would be 2 very useful players, I think, to give some chances to, and all of that, that's but I was interested. It was interesting, Housen's suggestion, for example, I thought was interesting because I think the point he made there that I also agree with, that I've explained when I'm talking about personnel, is that you do change often personnel and system in the way that you deploy certain players without actually changing, without actually changing your principles, without actually changing the system, without actually doing any of that, without having to abandon what you're doing. And I think there are ways to do it. I think there are ways to do it. We'll get back to some of the manager stuff there a little bit later, because I do find it kind of interesting in terms of what can be done, and not too much later, because we don't have to do a giantly long video, and a lot of it we'll be getting back to talking about tactics, manager, things like that, because what the hell else is there to talk about at the moment? It's the thing that's on everybody's mind. I'm just at the moment trying to be proactive and all of that. in terms of thinking about what could happen that could help us win games. So Ahmad returning, Malacia returning as well. We are definitely seeing the youth in there. Yeah, look, Kabi Mainu has, I think, certainly as well on that basis. We've seen some of the reports out there, but we know Kabi Mainu has knuckled down. Not saying he wasn't working hard before, but I'm saying that obviously, given he didn't get the move at the end of the window, get him into that he's working hard to earn and deserves a place. And look, I want to say on that, I've stated many, many times that I actually agree with the idea that Kabi Mainu should have to earn a place, that he should have, that there are things he can improve upon, that there's things that he can get better at, that he's not the perfect player yet, but he is a fantastic talent that I see as the future of that midfield. And of course, the other side of that is that I agree with all of that, so long as there is a way for him to actually get in there, especially when Bruno isn't performing. So it's good to hear and see things about Kabi Mainu continuing to work hard and all that. I think no matter what, in the end, he's going to be very, very important for us, one way or another, with Amorim or somebody else. And I want him to be that guy for us in the future. I certainly do. So, we have options. We have options in the team. We have options in the squad to change things and to switch things up and to improve things. And we don't have an injury crisis. We've got healthy players. Like, realize something, and this is the very frustrating part of all of this, okay? You look at this game coming up against Sunderland and tying it into this Ahmad and Malacia thing. We have everyone available, bar Lisandro Martinez. Everyone. We have so many choices that can be made. So many choices that can be made. So many alternatives that can be put forward to the players that are underperforming, or the players that haven't been working, or the players that are not. We actually have a lot of choices we can make. There are way more than it even seems when you actually think about this squad. There's a lot. We have more choice than we have ever seen at United in probably 10 years. Besides Mazraoui, you're right. Mazraoui is still injured to the international break. I did forget about him. But that's the one player not available. But you look and you look around and you go, there are tons of choices we can make out here at the senior level for so many different positions, for different things. There just are. And that's where I want to see choices, and I want to see change. So we have these players all returning. Talk very briefly about the Saudi game, because obviously there was actually a story about this some time ago, a few weeks ago. I don't remember who originally, about the idea that we could play a game in Saudi or something like that midweek in order to raise a little bit of money or something like that. So I don't know. It sounds like there may be more happening or more working on that. I think it would be, exactly. I think it would be worth, obviously, doing something midweek if we end up with a lot of time. I mean, the travel seems like a bit much to me. But obviously, if it's a friendly and all of that, and it's not too intense, and it's just some fitness and just playing a little bit of more match minutes to keep focused, maybe it can help. Maybe it doesn't. But I guess we will see. I guess we will see if we actually try to do anything with it. I wouldn't care if we do. I certainly will watch anytime United play, friendly, unfriendly. It doesn't matter. It's been very unfriendly to us, so I don't care. But I would watch pretty much anything, and I'd be curious about that as well. And I think that obviously anything the club can do to continue to raise funds, to increase the money and all of that is no matter what a good thing that's going. Well, I say it not at the expense of fans, but is a decent thing, and is a decent thing that can help the team and all of that, as long as it doesn't interfere with the club getting better, with progress that's being made. I don't think it's going to mess up a game that's on Sunday from Saturday or something like that. If you fly out, given that it's a friendly, if you play it like a friendly, if you bring young players, youth players, play youth players, some youth players in that team that aren't going to feature at the weekend, then it's like not a big deal. You don't even necessarily have to bring the entire team, to be clear. If you're doing it very casually, fly out, sleep, play, or fly in, play, sleep, fly back out, and come back out and come out, then it doesn't have to be a big deal. But somebody else did it. What was it, PSG or something like that? I don't really know. I'm not sure what the reason is. But or who somebody else did something similar to this, but they're not paying for United Youth Pledge. I don't think they get to make that demand, to be honest. I mean, obviously they're going to want to see first teamers, but I'm saying you're gonna see, I mean, they will though, in the postseason tour we went out to 2 different countries, and PSG in 2023. They went out to 2 different countries and played a lot of youth players. I don't think you get to make that demand of who can play and who can't. They're not contracted to Saudi, the players. You know what I mean? They're there to win for United in the Premier League. But as well, in addition, you could also look at it like the shop window a little bit. Like, we've got some players that maybe should be heading out to Saudi next summer or in January or something, and give them a chance to check out Saudi life and head out there maybe. I don't know, but that would be a potential alternative bonus to the situation, is improve those relationships with them and see if we can line up some sales for next summer, because I can think of a few that I'd be shipping off to Saudi as soon as possible. Are we being invited as part of the comedy tour? Yeah, that's been like a big thing in the U.S., hasn't it? This, I don't know if it's been in other places, but it's a big thing in the U.S. that, about this debate over the Saudi comedy tour. Understandably, I think there's a little bit of I find a little bit of mismatches between like the culture there and a lot of the things that comedians talk about, but I don't know. I don't know. But that's a debate for someone else to engage in, not me, on all of that front. That's not it. But yeah, look, there's a couple potential benefits to a game like this. I see the negatives from that perspective as well, traveling, all of that kind of stuff. But hey, might be worth it. Leads me to another point on money, which is that there's certainly a lot of talk on the money side of things that there's the reason Ruben Amorim is not being let go as of now is because after a certain date, it costs less. I can tell you that that's definitely not the case. Am I worried about the war in Portland? No comment. Okay, look, I spent the summer. Look, anyway, no comment. We're gonna don't bait me into talking about these subjects because I really don't want to. Anyway, they're not. This is not a thing that is in consideration because it is not the money men that are essentially at the driving the force of this whole thing. All right. It's not the money men who are saying sack or don't sack at this point in time and are appointed to make the call. It's the guys who are running the football side of things that are appointed to make the call and then send it upstairs. And then at that point, the money men would decide to sack them or not. So would decide whether to spend the money or not. So it's not even relevant in essence, because at the moment, you don't have the football people saying, go sack the manager, and Sir Jim or the Glazers going, nope, don't want to spend the extra $9 million right now. That's not actually how it's going at all. The football people tend to not care about the money in that respect. They're not sitting there going, well, should we save 9 million? This is not their job. When they go for transfers, when they go for all of it, yeah, they're obviously aware of the money, but they just want to get deals done. It's not held up by the money men or anything like that. So, I have two reasons for talking about that aspect of it. Number one, that it gets particularly annoying when the narrative constantly becomes that every decision that it gets made is about, penny pinching or something like that, because it's just not the case. Secondly, because it implies the idea that they already have decided to sack him and that it's just being held up by the money, which is very dangerous and is not true either, but it's also not helpful. You don't want people to be thinking that way right now, because as long as he's not sacked, we want to win. We want to do better. We want the club to be successful. We want it to do more, we want the club to be better, essentially. And while Amorim is here, we want to win games, and so that's a very dangerous narrative to imply as well, because that can lead to things. And we already know players see stuff in media. We already know players read papers. We already know players do this stuff. I do not, under any circumstances, want to give the players any kind of out to say, oh, well, we already know the manager's sacked. They're just waiting to pay him off, and give them any reason to not do what they need to do. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I think there's good reasons to push back against this, because I think that it's a dangerous precedent, and it's like I worried about this even under Ten Hag when I knew he was essentially going to be sacked for months. It was like, really, you guys know, in watching the videos, I was kind of careful about what I said, even though it was a little bit obvious. But I never wanted to say the manager's been sacked and the manager will be sacked and they're planning to sack him outright at that time, because it was going to be a while. And it was like, why give the players the excuse? And I wasn't big on Ten Hag even in the slightest. I wasn't big on Ten Hag in the slightest, but I didn't want to be responsible for giving players an excuse to down tools, because they will. If you give them an inch, you'll give them a mile. The other stories that I don't like, Ruben Amorim has not spoken with the club about resigning in the last few days, weeks, and the stories that run out about that are just lame. Sir Jim was there. He met with him, all of that. The resigning talk is essentially at an end, okay? Because that's the other thing in there as well. So just pushing back on those things, because there's still important things to there's still important things to keep up with and to kind of push back on and all of that. When did I lose faith in Amorim? It's like, we'll get to that in a second, but essentially it's like right now, I don't believe that he'll make the right decisions to turn it around, even though I actually believe it can be turned around. So, but it was Brentford, from some of the things that happened, that really broke. There was doubts. Certainly I had doubts and concerns, and that one was a really bad example. To me, that one was an example of, well, those doubts are essentially at this point confirmed, barring further evidence to the contrary. One of the names that's been touted a lot is Glasner. And again, I've heard from some people that I think are very well connected and informed and things like that about Glasner, but I'm very quite certain that a lot of it comes from his side. Now, I watched some stuff on Glasner, which is really interesting too, and it was interesting and also ultimately very, very frustrating. Was he doing what you wanted to see last season? And right until the end of the season, Irish, it was pretty much the last 2 weeks of the season when I went, has he lost his mind? Because I understood what he was doing until the final week of this. Essentially, it was like the final week. Chelsea, the final, and afterwards. Anyway, Glasner, as I've said before, there's people who've heard stuff about him, but I as far as I understand it, it's, again, more on his side than it is from United's side. But I was watching some stuff on Glasner because I was quite interested in the topic. Like Adam Cleary, you guys know him, did a video on. I think most people do, right? He's pretty big, and he used to run the other channel, and he went off to do his own. Jason, good to see you, and thank you for the donation, buddy. If you missed a message, I'll read it out when you type. And he was talking, and I watched his video on Glasner, and the one thing that I find really interesting in it, if you do watch it, is that, like, there's people who say that Glasner's defensive setup is very different to Amorim's. I have to completely disagree with that, funnily enough. I watched that video and I went, hang on a second. I watched Sporting do exactly what he's talking about for years and years and years. Okay? He was talking about how they'll drop back into a 5-4-1 when they want to defend deeper, how the back line shifts side to side. I was just demonstrating that on the video the other day, that the back line shifts from side to side, that's how it's supposed to be, that the wing backs come out so that your 10 isn't the one having to come out, that the back line is what's supposed to shift and is supposed to go up, back, forth. The 10s are supposed to drop in and assist the midfield, all of that kind of stuff, right? And it was really interesting to see. Anyway, I recommend watch it if you haven't, because it is kind of interesting to see it. But it wasn't for that reason that I'm talking specifically about Glasner here. But there is a big difference. It's very easy to look at. It's very look at. I know it's not what United do. That's the part that's bothering me, right? It's really easy to look at it and say, oh, well, cool. They have a pressing structure. No, they don't. No, they don't. In fact, this is where I would strongly disagree with anybody talking about this, because it's really easy to say, wow, they're so great, they're so wonderful, look at how good they are. What they're doing is fantastic, okay, and it's great. And then let me flip it around so you can actually get the impact of this, okay? No, they don't have a pressing structure. They're the worst pressing, lowest pressing, least pressing team in all of England, okay? That is the truth, and they're the second lowest possession side. So saying, well, they actually have these great press, no, they don't. They don't. Come on. If you watch the game against Liverpool, tell me they're pressing against Liverpool. They do not. It's defend and counter. It's drop deep. They do not press, period. They do not press. So don't say they have a pressing structure. They don't. They don't press. They just drop back into a 5-4-1 very quickly, very compact, very strong, and hit you very quickly. The least number of passes, the least number of carries, they just attack quickly. We can do this, but this is where everything becomes about, like, this is the kind of concern with looking at like these managers, what they're doing. Can they scale up to another club? Can they do things? Because you can play this way at Crystal Palace. You can. You do this for 5 minutes at United and everybody's yelling, attack, 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 attack. I'm not saying it's not successful, okay? But you can't do it at United. You just can't. You genuinely can't. People will be so mad about it when they do it. You know, they will be so mad about it. And it's like, but the point is that this is what he's doing. You don't hire managers on the basis of what they're not doing. Okay? He's using the same 3-4-2-1, attacking quickly. The difference is you want to see evidence that they can do it while also being a pressing and possession side. You don't know. You don't know. We've done the defend deep and counterattack, and people were bored of it, and people were bothered by it, and rightly so, because it's not the way that you want to play, as United and all of that. But again, this idea of flexibility on all of that, to me, it's a huge red flag It's a huge red flag, okay? Because my point is, it's not about managers can't be flexible, but why are you hiring them? Why are you hiring them? If you told Ruben Amorim today, stop pressing, drop the line deep, and play a 5-4-1, you can have 40% possession, no pressing. Let's see what kind of results we get. Would our results improve? Probably. So does that make Ruben Amorim the right coach? I'm just giving that as an example, right? Because it's like they're very, very different playing the two things. If you ask Glasner to play in the Premier League with a press, with a high press, with all of that, then it's going to be different. It's going to be very different. You don't know where it's going to end up, at that point in time, when you do that. And what we can't do, what would be really stupid to me, in my opinion, is hire a manager for something they're presently not doing because you think they could do it just because they've done something else. To me, it's like this, right? If you are trying to sign a player and you're saying, hey, there's Pogba, he's a player, he's played different positions, but he's killing it. He's smashing it. He's playing the best in the world right now as this auxiliary, almost attacking midfielder in a 3 with 2 hard workers next to him. And you say, that's why he's doing so well. We're going to pay $90 million for him. We'll just stick him deep. He'll be just as good. You'd say that's stupid because that's what we did. And it's stupid, right? It's stupid. Why? It's the same thing with managers. You want them for what they're actually doing, not what you think they could do, because that makes no sense. What they're doing right now is what is making them successful. What they're doing today is what's making them successful. Whatever we choose on a manager has to be on the basis of what are you doing today? Not what have you done in the past, not what have you done otherwise. What you're doing today translatable to Manchester United and what we want to do? That's the question. And the worst thing we could do is we've done that. Hire Ten Hag and say, well, I wasn't hired to play the way I played at Ajax. That's so stupid because that's why he failed. And that's a failure in management, that's a super failure in management in general. So it's like, we can't do that. We need to be the controlling team. We need to be a possession team. We can't suddenly abandon the principles that we're talking about and go in different directions. Okay. It's about what are you doing today? It's about what are you doing now and implementing that. That's what has to be under consideration for any manager. What is their way of playing, not what are you're doing something successful that's totally different. Come to United and figure it out. That doesn't work, right? We can see the difficulties with that as well. So that I'm against. Okay, that's an idea that I'm against. United don't have to be a possession team, but they also can't be an anti-possession team. It's very different to set up a defense, to set up an attack, to set up things when you're going to play teams differently anyway. It's not even a matter of could they press, could they do this, would we be better doing this? Teams give us the ball and don't press us for a reason, because you just get treated and played differently when you're a big side versus others. So, Glasner, for me, it's a huge risk. But what I also would add to that is it's also an example in his favor, to give him big credit, because I'm not trying to take credit away from what Glasner is doing at Palace, which is really, really impressive. What it does show, however, is that you can properly coach and set up this formation to work, okay? You can properly set up this formation to defend appropriately. And really our biggest problem has been defending. The way that we've been defending is awful. At the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that's where we're really, really bad is in defense. We give up so many huge chances. We make so many big mistakes without the ball, or when teams get the ball, that really screw us. I mean, we're the 4th worst defensive team in the league. That is hurting us a lot more than our attacking at this point in time. And some of that is personnel, and some of that is players, and some of that is, other things too. And some of that's personnel, some of it's players. A lot of it is coaching and setup and doing all of that. So, yeah, there's differences there, but I think that one to me is like a huge like red flag on Glasner, because you look at it and go, cool, it'll work. Well, okay. We were good last year in defense, but this year we have switched backline every game. Well, that doesn't help us either. But yeah, our defense is really truly awful. We've reduced the number of shots that we give up, but we give up huge chances. Like, you look at the Brentford game, just huge chance after huge chance. And it's really just comes down to mistakes and poor organization. It's really kind of silly. But it's funny because the 5 at the back and the way that the 5 at the back sets up is a big reason why we're actually bad at the defense. Because of the way that it sets up, it's actually making it easier for the opposition. And here's the funny part about it, right? We would probably be better defensively, again, if we played attackers at wingback than fullbacks at wingback. And you'll find that true in a lot of games, because we're giving up the advantage and letting teams attack us when we're playing defenders in those positions. And it's actually creating even more confusion. Like I was pointing out against Brentford, it's hilarious. Like, it's truly hilarious to me, because you play the defenders, and then Dalot is sitting on Shada, which is doing nothing. So we're playing 5 defenders, but 2 of them are useless. 2 of them are doing nothing. So like, the reason I wanted to say that is, if you look at the example that it's the way that it's set up and all of that, right? Like, here's what was I trying to say? Like, if you use this example here, what he's showing here is when Liverpool switch it over, the wing back goes out, not the number 10, and the whole defense shifts over, so that, look at how many players Liverpool have. You're actually playing 5v5 at the back, not wasting players. We're just wasting players.
What would your starting 11
right.
be against Sunderland? And what have you made of Sunderland this season? I have yet to watch them play.
Sunderland are good. Sunderland are very, very high energy team that play very intense. I mean, and I think that matters right now. A lot of it is they just have a lot of aggression, frankly. They just have a lot of aggression, and they have a lot of belief, and people discount the mental aspects of football. But the truth of the matter is that, no, Sunderland don't have the best quality, but right now they believe. And they're working their hardest, and they try, and they have some good players in there. But it's just, I just think of it like we've seen plucky young teams like that have really good starts to the season. They're full of confidence, they're full of energy, they have a good atmosphere, a good environment, they're on the up. It matters. My starting 11 against Sunderland, I think it's pretty easy for me. I would go Lamens, Dorgu, Heaven, Delict, Lenny Yoro, Ahmad, Ugarte and Mainu, Cunha, Sheshko, and Bumo. That's what I would pick. That's what I would pick, and that's what I would go with. How they have so much intensity, yeah, it's really, really impressive. They are flying high, and it matters. It makes a huge difference. It can keep your levels up over others. The part that's really frustrating about all of this, like I was looking at this the other day, not the other day, this morning, and I retweeted this, and like I'm gonna put this up, and instantly a bunch of people are gonna go, but this doesn't mean Amber isn't shit, because we are in 14th. I know, guys, relax. Discussion, okay? Because there's a point to this. Like, this is the over and under performance of the teams and where they should be. And of course, as usual, United are the worst underperforming in the league compared to actual and expected. Now, does it mean Does it mean we're good and everything's great? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But what it does actually tell you, which is true if you do watch the football with your eyes to a degree and watch some of the other teams play, which is what ultimately makes this almost more frustrating in general. We're losing games and it's awful and it sucks. I could honestly make a case that we've performed better in our games on average than Liverpool, than Spurs, and even than Chelsea. And I would feel comfortable making that case, and definitely than Aston Villa and Newcastle. I could make that case, okay? I could absolutely make that case, right? That we are performing better than them. That those teams are playing bad. Now, I'm not saying that makes us good. I'm saying that I could make the case that a lot of our competition for top 6 are playing really poorly. And that even though we've been shit and we're losing games, some of them are getting better results. They are performing really poorly in most instances. I mean, that Spurs loss to Bodo as well. Forget the league at the moment. The Spurs loss yesterday, horrible. One of the worst games that I've seen. Liverpool have been terrible in every single game, and they just lost to Galatasaray. You know, like, those teams have been playing like absolute shit. They genuinely have. And that's the part that's almost so frustrating about all of this, because there is an opportunity here, a very obvious opportunity here to get into the 5th, 6th spots this season. And that's why I said I think we could do it. Whatever, draw to Bodo, I don't care. The game itself was absolutely terrible if you watched it, right? They were losing at one point. I remember they did get a draw. But the game itself was terrible, was really, really terrible to watch. And I watched about 60 minutes of it, and the performance itself was really, really bad. You know, it was really bad, you know, and it's like these teams are not really performing very well. They're not. And it's like this should have been right now an opportunity for us to be successful and to get into the top 5 and 6. And that's why I thought we could this season. And that's why that's my standard, my aim, because I do look at these teams and I say, they're not that good either. They're actually not. You know, they're genuinely not that good, you know, for the most part. I really don't believe, outside of, I think personally, Arsenal and City, I don't think these teams are very good. In terms of the big clubs that are like usual top 4, 6, you know, perennial candidates. Outside of Arsenal and City, and I think City, yes, had a slow start, but I think they're getting really in form with Holland is sort of unstoppable at the moment, which is why I think they'll win the league. Besides those 2 clubs, everybody else has been bad. Their performances have been poor. And so it's like, man, there's a genuine opportunity here to be decent. And that's the part that's almost more frustrating in all of this, because it's like, it's a crazy opportunity. It's a crazy opportunity, you know, to be good, to get where we need to be. And that's why they do have to be decisive about this whole situation. That's why they do have to be decisive and say, what are we doing here? You know, are we sticking with this, or are we making a change? If we did make a change, it has got to, 1,000,000% got to be someone experienced. Someone experienced. Now, I have heard that they wouldn't necessarily want a caretaker if they were to make a change, which I think makes sense to me, because we shouldn't, if a change is made, in no world should we be writing off this season. This season is an opportunity to get into Champions League. It is an opportunity where other teams have had very slow starts. I mean, even the league table isn't that fucking far off. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not doing ifs. I'm saying the league table really isn't that bad. You win a game, you win 2 games in a row, you're probably back in the top 6. It's like, it's that simple. You know, it's not like the points gap is massive and that everything's crazy and then the whole thing is ruined, because a lot of other good teams have not really got going either. A lot of the other big teams are pretty slow right now. So there is an opportunity this year. And if a change is made, it's got to be somebody experienced, got to be somebody who knows the Premier League inside and out and needs to go and win games. Now, can you get someone like that? I don't know. That worries me, man, because we do have to get, like, if we're going to make a change this season, it's got to be somebody that can take advantage of it now, right now, who gets it, who understands it, who does it right now. That's who it needs to be if we were to make a change. Otherwise, it's somewhat pointless, and it's such a waste of time. You know what I mean? It's such a waste of time. It's got to be someone who gets it. But but that's why I go back and forth in terms of like, that's why I go back and forth in terms of like, it really would be best if Amorim makes it work. It really would be best if Amorim somehow turns it around, because it's not that easy to find the right person. The simplest answer is that we turn it around. I think we can. I'm not saying I believe he will. I do think we can, because I do think we have a team that can turn it around. I do think there are mistakes, obvious mistakes being made on a week-to-week basis, on an every game basis, that could be corrected and could have us winning games. That's my opinion. Again, I don't at the moment believe he will fix it and we'll see things the right way to turn it around, but we can. We can. That's the annoying part. We really, really can. So, that's the frustration of the whole thing, and that's where there's also an opportunity, and that's where I look at it and I go like, yeah, we exactly. Nobody should want us to lose. We want to turn it around. We want to turn it around. We should want to turn it around. Amorim is here, and as long as he's here, I'm going to 100% support that he turns it around, because that's the best thing for the club, because we do have a damn good opportunity here. You do have a damn good opportunity here, and we'll have the ability to reinforce the squad a bit in January. We have a damn good opportunity here to get where we need to be in the league, right? And so that's why I want guys like Jason Wilcox to be decisive here, because you have really two choices at this point in time. You either know you can get somebody that will come in and make an impact and get things up the table right now, in which case, if you think you have it, then you have to be very, very quick to do it. Then you have to be very, very quick to just do it. If not, and you're not certain of that, then you have to step in. You have to step in and say, listen.
You scared me with your description of Sunderland. I'm going to binge watch all their games. What do you think will happen if we draw against them?
I think we're pretty much at the end, or we'll be starting fully the process of being at the end without a win at the weekend, to be quite honest. That's my opinion. But that's why I look at them like, then if you can't get that, then you have to step in and say, look, and I know that the evaluations are being done by the football people there. I know that they're looking at things and they're assessing things, and that they believe there are things that can improve the team right now and turn this around, or they would have already made a manager change. So I'm saying to him, you have to be really, really bold, really, really brave at this point in time, and step in and say, this is what needs to be done to make a difference. This is what needs to be done to make a difference. Right now, it's what needs to be done to make a difference. That's to get somewhere, to get the team somewhere, to turn things around. Because I do know they know. Look, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. I know that there are people at that club in the football department above Ruben Amorim and around the whole thing that believe this team is good enough to be winning a lot more and in those top 5-6 positions. I know they believe that, they know it, and that they see things in that favor. And I know that they look at things and are looking at things and have an explanation for why it isn't, and things that can be done that would change it. Do something about it. I beg you, do something about it then, because you have one or two choices, and they have to be bold. Either way, it has to be bold. You have to be really decisive in that front, because if you cannot let what cannot happen, what the hierarchy, the football people cannot do here is let what's been happening keep happening and go on hope. That's the one thing you cannot do. Go on hope. You have to go in and try something. One way or another, something has to change. Things don't change by themselves. Something has to change. Go in and make a difference somewhere. Go in and, or unless you have a better idea already lined up. But the only wrong thing here is to do absolutely nothing. That's the only wrong thing, is to do absolutely nothing. Look, here's the thing, and I was thinking about this a lot because I watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of people, and despite my usual, like, sometimes feeling like or acting as if I'm waging war against let me just tweet something. Where sometimes it feels like I'm kind of like waging war against like tacticos and things like that and what have you and all of that. I actually like watching a lot of stuff about tactics and all of that to understand what people are talking about. Where I differ on all of it is where I differ on so much of the the feeling around it, and where I differ in terms of the view of it. Is that I see it that there's three things that go on at any point in time. There's tactics, there's coaching, and there's execution and personnel involved in that. The personnel actually executing those things. And there's three aspects to football. Okay, there's three aspects to that happen under every single manager. It's all three of those things at any point in time. If you were learning to do something and you were in a school to become a chef, you can read a book and a recipe book, and you can go through it and say, oh, these are the tactics. It's the book. It's the recipe. It's the formula that's going to make a great meal. Okay. It's not the be all end all as to whether a great meal comes out the other end of it. And my only disagreement is far too often it's talked about as if it is. Like, you should be able to, if you can't pick up a chef's book, read the recipe, and make a great meal, then it's a bad recipe. Not true, okay? One, you have to be coached and trained in proper ways of doing it. So you might be going through a training, going through a class or something like that to learn how do you cook, how to properly do things, because there's a lot of details and actions that go into all of that. And then you would learn the basics of how to cook. You would have the recipe, and you'd have to go put it together and execute it. All right. So all three of those things can go together. And sometimes you might just be a bad cook. Jonathan, welcome back. Back with a bang. 10 gifted memberships to the community. Thank you so much. And it's a good time to remind you that I will have a members video for you just after this. Relationship analogy. I don't think I want to give one on this one. Okay. All right, I'll give you a relationship analogy, but it's more to do with raising kids, which is probably going to reflect with the older members of the community like myself. But thank you again, Jonathan, for the gifted memberships. You're the man. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. You can read as many books as you want on raising kids. You can have really, really good ideas on how to raise your kids properly, how to help them in life to become good people and all of that, okay? And you can have the best of intentions, and your kid can turn out to be a dickhead, and it doesn't mean you were a bad parent. I'm just saying. It doesn't mean your ideas weren't good, because the kid has their own experiences and things that they go through in learning to become an adult, learning to become a human being operating in this world. And then they have their own personalities, their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own everything. And those three things all go together, okay? Those three things all go together to produce what that child will become at the end of their life. And you can do everything you can. It doesn't always work, But there's a lot that goes into it. You can have the best intentions, the best ideas. This is how we're going to raise our kid, and we're going to limit this, and we're going to an hour of screen time only, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And then you can send them to the best schools, and that's coach training, and you can teach them how to do all sorts of things. There's still a them factor in this too, that there's a person there that you're talking about. Tabiso, welcome to the Pro Muppet as well. So there's two analogies, and I feel that coaching a team is the same way. The manager has to bring the recipe, the formula, the right idea to the table. This is what I want to produce at the end of it, okay? A better idea will certainly give you better odds of getting a better outcome, of course. Then they have to train, they have to coach the people, they have to talk to them, they have to work with them, they have to try to get them to understand it. They have to work them through the motions, get them to improve in it. Now, what they're coaching them on is not to make 5-yard passes. I promise you that. You're not coaching them on how to play football. You're coaching them on how to play in your system, okay? The third thing is then you have the personnel and whether they can go execute it. And there's a lot of variables that go into that, all right? And also picking the personnel. Now, the manager is ultimately responsible for all three things, because if players aren't executing, then he's got the responsibility to change those players, to alter those players as much as he can, subbing them, rotating them, changing them, and between the windows, selling and buying new ones. The coaching he's responsible for. Some people aren't coachable, but you see that in the execution. He's responsible for that. And then there's the tactics. My problem with discourse around it is everything is loaded onto tactics, okay? Everything is loaded onto tactics. On the pitch, tactics get you situations. They get you into positions, into situations onto the pitch that are supposed to be advantageous for you. Then it comes down to how you execute them, okay? And that is not tactics. I'll give an example. Because I listen to a lot of different people, and they have different things I agree with and don't. But somebody here said it in a simple way that was best. This is Kees Van Hemmen from Devils in the Details or How Have You podcast and all that. And I had just found this earlier today, and I just liked it. And he was talking about this moment against City, which was like, there's this thing, pin the near side center backs and they can't jump. And he says, I love tactical analysis. Tactics explain a lot of what happens in a football matches. But if your tactical flaw, quote, right, results in a 5 versus 8 for the opposition, where the ball carrier is surrounded by 3 or 4 players, are we really going to say this goal was down to tactics? And then he says, I hate to sound old-fashioned, but how about making a fucking tackle, lads? You know, and ultimately this is what happens. The original cross gets blocked. It's only after the cross gets back to Doku that Foden, unmarked at the back with 3 City players and 7 United players, gets free and scores. Can we please begin to distinguish between tactics and execution? Okay, that's all I've been trying to say in a very succinct way for a long time. That frustrates me about the discourse. It doesn't make the manager not ultimately responsible for all of those things. Right? Because execution is a huge part of the game. And if players aren't doing it, then what the hell? But it is like, make a tackle. And my whole complaint was Shaw's in that position, and that's in that moment, doesn't make a fucking tackle, but then you just keep playing him. And that is where it becomes about the manager. Regardless, that's why I look at it and I say, listen, the thing is that where the discussion to me breaks down and gets really annoying is when everything becomes tactics and you forget about the other aspects that matter, right? You forget about the other things that matter and the other things that make a difference. And if you think that changing the tactic is going to solve the other things, it's not. It isn't. It's not going to solve the other things, because it is not just tactics that United are losing, not even fucking close. In fact, I would argue that execution is a lot worse than tactics at this point in time with what I'm looking at. If you watch that first goal against Brentford, what actually happens there? A really poor pass from Dalot. Cunha loses the ball. It's one pass. Maguire attempts a really horrid offside trap, and we concede. That was not a tactical display. That's just football. That's just people making mistakes. Okay. Still on the manager. He picked them. He picked the players. He's done all of these things. So he has oversight and is responsible. But I'm talking about when we're discussing the three different things on all of that. I think that that's where it's important to differentiate. Otherwise, we're not talking about the same things, and it does matter. So given the context of that, that's why I'm saying, and I'm looking at it and going, you know what I think? What really matters here, and why I say that this is where the people involved above and around Ruben Amorim need to be decisive on this, is to say, listen, you have to change something. You're doing it wrong. Whether we believe, because they believe in his tactics. They do, or he would be gone already. They believe in his tactics. It's the coaching and the execution aspect of it. The coaching and the personnel aspect of it that matter, right? That they feel he's failing in. Step in and do something about that, right? All the questions, all the discussions were about, keep going on about tactics. I want someone, but, and the problem with things like the interviews, the problem with the things like the press conferences, what really frustrates me is that everyone is so busy trying to get gotchas about systems and tactics when talking to the manager that nobody will ask him, why won't you drop some of these players when they're playing like shit if it's not your tactics? Why not ask that question? You know, when Owen Hargreaves did the interview with him that was last week, and he's talking about this, why not at that point challenge that point and say, okay, why are you playing them? Instead of going back to on and on about the system, about the easy system and gotcha, right?
I think we'll see Wilcox's mark on the team on Sat.
I do, Matt. I do. And I think either we do or he's done. You know what I mean? Like either we'll see some sort of mark on the team, some sort of adjustment in the way that it's deployed, that it's executed, that the personnel are there, or he's done. Because I don't believe at this point in time that the communication as such from everybody involved is that if we just keep doing the same thing, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? That if we keep doing the same thing, it's all going to be okay. That's not the belief. Not to say they don't believe there are good things, but when they say they believe Amorim can turn it around, it's because they believe there are good things, but there are things that are being done wrong as well. And that there's something that has to be changed. There's something that has to be changed. I don't care what the answer from Amorim is. The answer doesn't really matter to me. I want people to ask the question because it's taking the focus off of some of the things that should be being discussed in all of this, right? So yeah, I'm really curious to see if we do see the impact, if we do see the mark of somebody stepping in. For me, I need to see that to restore. I want us to win. I want to believe. I want us to turn it around because there is an opportunity this season, because I don't see like an obvious someone who's going to come in and make sure that, and that's experienced and that will take advantage of this. If they've got one or they can get one, cool. I'll support it. I'll back it 100%. I'm saying I want us to turn it around. And so I don't believe we will turn it around just by doing the same thing. I'm not blind. I'm not sitting there going, oh, well, we don't have to change anything. It's all okay. We're just getting unlucky. We'll get some good luck. We'll get some bad luck. It'll be good one week. It'll be bad the next. The margins are too fine. Change has to happen. Change has to happen where that doesn't matter as much. The margins right now are too tight. All things considered, they're just too tight. I'm not talking about, and it's not about spoon feeding. The thing is, Daniel, like, you have to bear in mind, like, I get that take, like, well, but that's why you have a football department. And I use Wilcox, or I might say Wilcox, because it's easier to use one person's name as a representation, right? But like, You've got a dozen analysts. They have a job. Okay, you have a dozen watchers. They have a job. You have scouts. You have analysts. You have data people. You have directors. You have all of that kind of stuff involved. There's a reason to have all these staff and not just have manager and their coaches and then nobody else in the football department. There's a lot of people that get involved in looking at the situation around it. What I'm saying is that there needs to be a bit more of a collaborative direction or a push from somebody who has authority to say, listen, this is what we're seeing. This is what we are seeing. This is what the data is telling us. This is what the analysis is telling us. This is why we have these people. This is why we have them. Do this. This is what would be better. And that's what I'm saying. It should be a collaborative approach. It should be in that way. Otherwise, why do you have all of these people? You know? If the data is telling you that everything we're doing is right and the players we have are right and the selections we have are right and all of that is right, get different data people because they're doing a shit job. But I don't think that's the case. I think there is data and there is analysis saying that certain things are working, and I would agree. But I know as well I know it isn't the case that they think everything's okay. I also know for sure there are people in and outside of the club, analytically, data-wise, all of that wouldn't agree with some of the things that are going on and would make different sort of suggestions. So it's got to be one or the other. Either there has to be a decisive push in that direction or you have to make a change. Something does have to change, though. You know, it absolutely does. On the side, do you think they breeding Fletcher? I don't think they're breeding Fletcher, man. I haven't heard of that role. I know we've had some new roles and some turnover at United in terms of positions and in terms of roles and trying to flesh out the entire hierarchy, but I have not heard of the breeding role as of yet. But I get your question, which is, do you think they're lining him up to become a manager in the future? Sure, potentially. I mean, I think that I think that woo. Yeah, I think that the whole idea of having youth coaches, things like that too, is you hope some of them can step up into different roles and different things like that. So yes, Naveen. But in general, yes, actually, with your question. I'm not necessarily saying even for United, but you never know. You never know. I think it could be helpful. James, what is your blame percentage? Manager, players, management. It's all good. Does it, I guess it doesn't matter what the percentage is. Like, what if it's 100, 100, 100? Like, I don't care about blame. I don't care about blame. What if it's 100, 100, 100? The players have 100% of the responsibility when they step on the pitch to win a game. The manager has 100% responsibility to ensure the team is winning. Management has 100% responsibility to get the team winning. They all have 100% responsibility. It's too easy. Splitting it up takes everybody off the hook. You know? Splitting it up takes everybody off the hook. It doesn't have to add up. I don't think responsibility works that way. It doesn't have to add up. They all have to, because they all have to look at it as if it's my job to fix it. You understand what I mean by that? It's my job to fix it. So the players have to look at it like, we're failing. It's on no one else. We need to play better. We need to be better. The manager has to look at it and say, it's my job. It's on nobody else. I have to change something to get this working. And the management has to look at it and say, we own this club. We're running this team. It's our job to get it winning. We hire people, we put people in place. What are we going to do about it to fix it? Everyone has to have that view at a successful club. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So the responsibility is 100, 100, 100. If the players are bad, you know what I'm saying? I'm blaming the players. And I'm also blaming the manager if he doesn't do something about it in the exact same amount as the players. Right, group activities are not divisible, they're cumulative. And I'm also then blaming management if they watch it go on without doing anything about it. Everyone has to do something about it. Everybody is responsible for it. That's the point. That's the point to me. So I don't split it up like that. And that's why when I try to have a conversation, if I try to talk about the players, it isn't to not put responsibility on anyone else's plate. It isn't. It's the opposite. That's why sometimes I'll get irritated when I go talk about the players, and it's like, yeah, but Amorim. But I know, but right now I'm talking about the players. I've talked about Amorim, and I'll talk about Amorim, and I'll talk about the management. And they're all relevant. Talking about one doesn't take away from the others. And I think people have a poor idea of what responsibility means when they take it that way. I think people and that's what, that's the part that frustrates me to a degree with the whole dialogue about it. And it makes it far too easy to pin things. And we've all made that mistake at any point in time. The longer it goes on, to me, the more, though, I will lean towards blaming the top end. You get what I'm saying? Like, the longer the players mess up, the more I'm looking at the manager and saying, hey, do something about it. And the longer the manager doesn't do anything about it, the more I'm looking to management and saying, why aren't you guys doing something about it? So that's kind of the issue. I think it's an authority issue. Some of the coaches Amorim has are younger than some of the players. I mean, that's been true in a few different capacities. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been other times that's been the case. I do have some concern about that. Are they too close with certain people? Do they get along too well with some of them, where it's like harder to have harsh words or something like that? I do have a worry. I just don't know. Thanks, Kajede. Jede, maybe. But yeah, that's it. So I look at these things and I say there's tactics, coaching, and personnel and execution. Someone has to do something about it, and there is an opportunity. So be decisive now. Either force some kind of change to occur that will fix some of these issues, or have something better lined up, because we can't waste this season. We cannot. There is the best opportunity I think there's been in years to get back into that top 5, 6. I think a lot of the teams are genuinely worse than us. And if we could just turn it around, and I think we can, because I think it's so stupid. The margins why we're losing, the reasons why we're losing, personally, I think are so stupid and so fixable that, given the performances of other teams that I think are actually worse than ours, but they're not making certain stupid mistakes, I think we can get where we need to be. And if Amorim won't do it, then get somebody who will. That's all. So that's where I'm at. Where are you guys at? What do you think? Let me do a new poll, because now I'm just curious if you guys have any kind of if you I don't even know what the poll would be, but what do you think about that, about what I just said? Do you think I'm making sense? And I'm, for what it's worth, I mean, it's my opinion, but that's also the two roads that are being discussed at the moment. So it's not just an opinion. I mean, what do you think about it? Do you think that makes sense? Do you think that there is a chance? Do you think that there are, here's what I'm going to ask. Do you believe there are common sense changes that could improve things right now? And I'm just talking about the simple things. Like under the same manager. Yeah, most people do. Right. Most people do. Yeah. I didn't get to watch that one yet, Tysel, even though I intended to. If there's something specific you want to share from that, feel free. I'm going to end soon, but if there's something specific you wanted to share from that, let me know. Wilcox need to tell Amorim change. Yeah, sure, right. Yeah. I think there are common sense changes we could make right now that could improve things, and that could make things better. And we can turn things around in that case, if that will happen. If that won't happen, then something else has to change. I'll have to see it to believe it, by the way. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to see it to believe it. I want to see it to believe it. I want to see that that those changes are made, that they have an impact, and that they're done consistently before I will believe. You know, like I literally woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, if I wake up again and it's Sunderland and it's by Indier, Gallo, Shaw, Bruno in the midfield, Casemiro's back. It doesn't matter what will happen in that game. I will go into the international break without hope because I do not think, again, it'll be a one-off. And that will be really depressing. That will be really, really depressing to me. And that will tell me probably everything I need to know, unfortunately, at that point in time. I don't want to lose either. I mean, either way, it'd be better to win. Because if we win, at least we're further up the table. So if a change has to be made, we're not so far away. But yeah, I'll look at that and go, oh, God, I will dread Liverpool because I just know what's going to go in with that. So most of you think there's common sense changes that can be made. If that makes sense, fair enough. And, yeah, I think we can all find some common ground on something like that, or the vast majority of us anyway, can find some common ground, and that matters. While we have a minute, I'm expecting my new merchandise, some samples to arrive today, tomorrow, or Friday. Don't know. As soon as I have them, I'm going to wear them on stream, and then I'm going to be wearing them every stream no matter what as part of the promotion. But as a reminder, you can head to the Muppeteers website, get some new merchandise, some new hoodies, some new beanies, the dolls, as I spoke about. We've got Wayne here. We're working on some others. I think we're making a Lenny Yoro one, so that if it's so if you want a Lenny Yoro one, that one is coming. But yeah, lots of nice sweaters, mugs, the old or current technically logo also there on everything as well. You can take a look at it and everything. But I'm hopeful that in person, when I have it, you guys will like it, and hopefully things will be more fun soon as well. But wanted to share that. That'll be, the link is below to all of that as well. If they make a DB Cooper doll, I'm all in. Yeah, Lenny's the next one. I mean, there's a big drop down there with options, tons of different players to make if people do want them, and they're handmade and they're made with very nice material. Like they're strong and they're good. They're not like pieces of crap. They're actually really, really nice. No, I won't be making and selling a Trump one. I'm not going to get into making or selling any kind of political stuff in the slightest. But yeah. But yeah, anyway. They're actually quite nice. But yeah, there's a bunch of options in there if someone selects it, and then we'll make them they get made by hand by the person who's making them. So quite nice. But all right, I think that's it. Why is it our worst 3 performances this season all happened when Casemiro been rested or suspended? Do you mean Grimsby, City, and Brentford? I don't think it's technically really the reason. But I would say that Casemiro, just by sitting, covers up a few of our defensive flaws just because he sits on that back line. Helps with crosses, stuff like that. Covers up for a few more of Bruno's erratic flaws as well. not to blame it all on him. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be doing something tomorrow, and then I think I should have Trafford talk with Owen from The View tomorrow as well. If there is a big bride doll, we'll get a beard. We'll get to that one as well. Right now, Ruben is making too many errors. It's only compounding a situation. Pressure is definitely getting to him. Is there a James one? No, I mean, I could make one. Yeah, before we do go, please do smash a like on the way out. If there's anything else anyone wants to say. Otherwise, thank you for all the donations. Thank you, obviously, Jason and Jonathan. Jonathan, for the gifted memberships. Jason, you did it. You did just a donation without a message there, but there was other messages and such as well. A new members video will be coming out in about 20-25 minutes, so make sure to stick around for that. It'll be pretty brief, but I just want to talk about some interesting things. Yeah. Stick around for that, and thank you to all the members and all the support and the new members who got that from Jonathan Hammond as well. Thank you all. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, join the members club. See you all later. Ooh, there is actually also a merchandise discount code in the members group that is still active. So there's a double bonus if you join the members group today. Okay. Thank you all. See you later. Have a good rest of your day. You want a Dalo? No. Make a voodoo doll out of the Dalo one, huh? Okay. Well, I'm not endorsing that behavior. See you later, everybody. Goodbye. Boom, boom. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. Doom, 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 doom.